So anyway, so I was, I guess you could say, sort of down and out, and suddenly I'm unemployed, and I'm doing these very low-paying gigs at a little deli. But hey, you know, Jason Reitman and George Clooney are coming to town.
Mm-hmm. Jason Reitman, the director.
Right, he was the director of the film Up in the Air. So I just thought in my mind, I didn't even know that much about the film. I thought George Clooney played a pilot or something when I first read about it. But I thought, if I could figure out some way to get the song to Jason Reitman, just maybe some kind of crazy miracle would happen. Mm-hmm. And so I found out he was going to do a lecture at Webster University, which was my alma mater. I went to college there. And the funny thing about the story is that I recorded the song on a little cassette, a cheap little Radio Shack cassette on a cheap cassette recorder.
And this is not the age, this is 2009?
Yeah, it was the end of 2008 when I made the recording, okay. Maybe very early 2009. But anyway, not only did I record it on this crappy cassette, but I even did this little spoken word intro. You know, I said, hey, Jason, my name's Kevin, and I just lost my job, and here's a song about insecurity and uncertainty, and I just thought maybe it would work for your film. So, you know, what kind of lunatic would do this? Approach a major film director with a song on a Radio Shack cassette. So I go to the lecture, and I waited for this Q&A, you know, section to come up. And I asked some dumb question about how he chooses music for his films. And then he followed that up with a question. I said, hey, I wrote this song called Up in the Air, Jason. I wonder if you'd be good enough to listen to it. And there was like tittering in the audience, you know, little chuckles, you know. And there's a pause. And that pause, man, was really interesting. So he said, sure, certainly, I'll listen to it. The more interesting the way I get the music, the better.
Yeah.
So that was like kind of a go-ahead. But the thing is, I thought he was just being polite. So right after his lecture, he makes a beeline for the exit, and he was going to be gone in like seconds. So at that point, I had to make a decision. Am I going to be this bold, you know, guy who takes this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, or am I going to just like listen to my pounding heart and just stay there and not worry about it? So I went after him, and I got him on the steps of Webster University. I said, okay, so Jason, here's the song. You know, I handed him this 9x12 envelope with my little cassette and my little letter explaining why I thought it might work. And he goes, oh man, this is a cassette. I don't even know where I'm going to listen to this thing.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I thought he was going to just throw it in the trash within, like, you know, minutes after seeing me. So I thought that was the end of it. Really
and you don't hear anything for...
I hear nothing, and meanwhile, my life goes downhill. You know, my mom dies. You know, I'm broke. All kinds of terrible things happened.
Yeah.
And then that August, I get an email from his music producer, Randall Poster. And the subject line in my email was UITA. And I thought, what's that? UITA. And it was Up in the Air. And they said, you know, dear Kevin, we would like to use your song in this movie, and let's talk about how we can make that happen.
And you said, yeah.
Well, I stared at this email. You'll appreciate this. Here's the funny thing. The first thing I did was call my brother in New York, who used to be an off-Broadway producer. And he said, dude, you know, this is probably, you know, bogus. He said, first of all, if they even do use your song, you're not going to be singing it. They're going to hire Miley Cyrus or somebody like that to sing it.
The foreign exchange student.
Yes, exactly. And he was totally skeptical that it would actually be my recording.
Yeah.
But I had several other calls from Randall, and yeah, they wanted to use my version of it. So.
I mean, the similarities between your song and my Alien vs. Predator song, I can't get over it.
I know.